Hi there, welcome to another video. This time we shall have a look at the Rollei 35, this little small wonder that I have here in my hands. The Rollei 35 is one of the best known cameras in the universe. Still, I think it's worth make a video about it and show you some of its quirks, qualities, and what I think about it. As usual, I will start my videos by placing the camera historically. So this camera is almost 50 years old. It was presented in 1966, and it was a way of Rollei to diversify, because they were most well known for this type of camera, which you might have seen, of course. It's the Rolleiflex that's sold by the million, and it was a camera used by all sorts of photographers, reporters, photojournalists, all sorts of professionals, and some rich people too. But by the 60s, there was a Japanese camera, called Nikon F, that put an end to the kingdom of the Rolleiflex, as well as the kingdom of rangefinders like Leica, Canon, and even Nikon's own S-line. So Rollei really needed a product to generate profit and volume. So they tried 16mm film cameras, which really was a niche market and didn't go far. They diversified and attacked Hasselblad with the SL66, a medium format camera that is very interesting too. I don't have it, but I would like to have it. And then someone knocked at their door with this design. So it wasn't a design original from Rollei, but it was refined and adopted by Rollei. This is the Rollei that became the Rollei 35. It was at the time the world's smallest camera, 35mm camera, full frame. This means that it has the standard dimensions, the negative has the standard dimensions, 24 by 36mm. And so it was a way of Rollei to get into the 35mm market without having any competition. If they went with an SLR, they would go against the Japanese. If they went with something classical like a Yashica Electro 35 or something like that, they would have all the Japanese as competition. And so they decided for a unique thing, uniquely designed. They decided this, and they decided very well. The Rollei 35 is an astonishing designed camera. Almost 50 years after its launch, we can't really tell its age. It really hasn't aged, because this design is so original that there are no date cues. There is simply nothing that can date this camera back to the 60s. Nothing. Sometimes we look at the camera, we see, oh, it's the chrome, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. None of that is present with the Rollei. Such is the originality and beauty of the design. It's a true classic among cameras, or even industrial design, why not? Except that this camera, being German, doesn't follow the very Germanic concept of form follows function. Here, function follows style. So this is a triumph of style over functionality, but we shall see that ahead. The Rollei 35 was such a huge success, such a groundbreaking camera, yet it had basically no imitators. Imitators it didn't have. Followers, very few. The first one was this one, from the Japanese, the Petricolor 35. It's not a copy of the Rollei, although people call it the Japanese Rollei. It's far from it, far from that. It's very original too, except it is the opposite of the Rollei. Here, form follows function. So you don't touch any part of the front of the camera. You do everything aperture, shutter speeds, and focusing with knobs on the camera body. It's a very different philosophy. It's a wonderful camera that one of these days we shall have a look in depth. And then there was another German camera that came along some years after, which was the Minox, all in plastic, electronic, about the same size, also very well known, high quality camera, better still, high quality lens, but the camera itself was light years from the Rollei in terms of quality. These are very problematic, these are problem prone cameras. I think the best, let's say, camera that tried to reinterpret the Rollei probably is the Olympus XA. It's about the same size. It features a rangefinder, something that is absent, so the style is also very original. It doesn't seem so because everybody copied this, the capsule design, but when it was launched it was really a very original design. And so you have, in my opinion, the cameras that followed more or less the Rollei 35 in terms of not design but in terms of spirit. The Rollei 35 that I've got here is a model made in Germany. This is because Rollei started production in Germany. It was a German camera, but due to the competition with the Japanese, they at one point during the 70s they started to diversify production, and so they transferred production to Singapore. And so there are Rollei 35 cameras made in Germany and Rollei 35 made in Singapore. It's a very relatively calm issue. People agree that there is no noticeable difference between models made in Singapore and the model made in Germany. They sound the same, they look the same, workmanship and reliability rate are the same. So for once, although the German model commands a premium over the asking price, it's not very justifiable because it's impossible to tell them apart just by the way they look or feel. It's impossible. And that's an homage to Rollei. Now, going back to this little black beauty, in this case black, I have here another one that is not black. You see that the front of the camera is dominated by round shapes, 3 round shaped circles as you wish. One is the lens, of course, and these 2 are for the shutter speeds that you turn, and you have shutters available from 1 second or B to 1/500th of a second, and this is the dial that commands the diaphragm, the apertures. In order to see it working, we need to push the lens out because this is a collapsible lens, and turn it to the left. Voila. Now I think you can see the diaphragm working. Then there are 2 discs. This is just a reminder on this side of the type of film you have inside the camera. This one is to set your ASA ISO for the meter, because the Rollei 35 is very small, but it does have a meter. This is the cell, so take care when using filters, if you like to use filters, because the camera is incapable of reading the light with the filter on. So it's separate, it's not located in the lens. Opposite to the little Petricolor 35. On top of the camera there is really nothing, just the shutter button and this devilish button that is the worst thing that is the thing that I detest the most about the camera, is this little bastard here. This is to unlock the lens in order to retract. So we turn it to the right and we push it inside. When doing this, we must always have the shuttlecock. If you try to push the lens inside without the shuttlecock, you will damage the camera seriously. So never attempt to retract the lens without having the shuttlecock. I don't like this button here. Why? Because I keep making a confusion between the shutter button and the unlock button. It seems very simple view from above. Yes, it is. Of course, they're different. But when you have your eyes in the viewfinder, it's not so. They're not so different. And by touch, it's difficult. And apparently, I wasn't the only one that didn't like the system, because at some point of the camera's life, Rollei changed it to the front of the camera. Good news. Another quirk is this advanced lever on the left. Again, you have this good viewfinder on the left, a la Leica, and you have this long throw winding lever that passes right across it. So you have to remove your eye from the viewfinder in order to win the film. Ah well, this is a button that a rotating switch that could be better placed, but this is what we've got. It's to release the film tip in order to rewind the film. Going to the bottom of the camera, you see that it is a busy place. We have a neat folding rewind crank, the tripod bush here, frame counter, and another, I don't know how to call it, another bizarre thing from Rollei, a hot shoe in the bottom of the camera. If you, I don't know if you remember, but flash guns from this era were bigger than the camera itself, so you would have this big thing hanging on the camera and giving light from the bottom of the camera. So I can't imagine the flash exposure. Anyway, it doesn't really bother me because I don't use flash ever. So I am quite okay with it. Last but not least, we have the lens. And this is all about the lens. The camera might have a fantastic design, it might be really cute, it is, but it does have a very nice lens. And it's a very humble and simple lens. This one features a Carl Zeiss Tessar, 40mm, a focal length that would become the norm for compacts, including the Japanese, and it opens to 3.5. I say this one because there are other models of the Rollei 35 that have different lenses. The ones made in Germany, like this, feature this lens, a Carl Zeiss Tessar. The ones made in Singapore feature a lens made by Rollei, called Tessar, but made by Rollei, so the name Carl Zeiss is out. There are some Singapore models that still have this lens. It's attached, it comes with a compost shutter. Again, some early Singapore models do have the same shutter. There are some that have a Schneider Shenar lens. They are very rare because they were made in small quantities, but apparently people don't like them. Don't ask me why. I've never seen one of them, much less taking photographs with it. What I know is that this lens is just a Tessar lens, and it really shines. It's wonderfully sharp. It's very balanced with the camera's size. It's really a fantastic little lens. Very modest, like I tell you. There is no secret about the Tessar lens. That's 4 lenses in 3 groups. It's very, very old. But not all Tessar type of lenses perform the same. And this is one of the, if not the best, Tessar lens that I have. And it reminds me a bit of the Voigtlander Scopar, which is also a Tessar design type of lens. Very contrasty, very sharp. So really nice. The camera is worth buying it just for the lens. Now, Let's open the little Rollei with this sledge here. And let's see one more, I would say, idiotic thing about the Rollei. The Rollei doesn't have a door to speak of. It comes apart in two parts. This is the film pressure plate. And here you have the battery compartment placed exactly in the film chamber. This is something that is not good. I can live without a meter. It really doesn't bother me if the battery dies and there is no meter. But for many people it was impossible to take pictures without a meter because they were not used to manual exposures. And so they had to rewind the film into the cartridge. Be careful not to put the film tip inside, replace the battery, load the film again, and wind it to the frame number which they were before the battery died. So not good. Over the time they changed this to another position to avoid opening the camera to change the battery, which was a good thing. So you see that the little Rollei has some things that are a little, I would say, they are not problematic because the camera, it was not meant for the professional market. So if you took a few seconds or a few minutes to take a picture, that would be okay. So we have to understand. But still, I think these design quirks could have been avoided. And if Rollei corrected them throughout the camera's life, it's because they were possibly not well. Now, this is a guess focus camera, meaning that there is no rangefinder. So you have to guess the distance in order to focus. If you are not very good at guessing the distance, then perhaps this is not the camera for you, or you should buy a separate rangefinder. Here you can focus from 0.9 meters, that's 3 feet, up to infinity. There is a depth of field scale that helps you to see what's in focus and what's not. My advice, this is my strategy with these, on any camera that doesn't have a rangefinder, avoid large apertures. First, a Tessar lens does not really have the best of performances in the large apertures. But if you use something between f11 and f8, you get a very good depth of field that will possibly cover most of the focusing errors if they are not too gross. So be warned, this is a scale or guess focus camera. And really, the little Rollei is just this. But I have another Rollei 35, which is a little different in color. This is the silver version, and as you can see, it says 35S. And the S comes from the lens. It features a different type of lens. Here we have a Tessar lens, here we have a sonar lens. Not made by Carl Zeiss, but made by Rollei. Still 40mm in focal length, but with a maximum aperture of 2.8. Not that this is important at 2.8. What is important is that this type of lens is completely different in terms of construction. So it's a 5-element lens, and one of the sharpest lenses ever to have come out and equip a camera. This lens is, I'm speechless because I have really some problem in defining it. When you see pictures taken with it, it's impossible to say it was with such a small camera. This is SLR quality. It's almost impossible, being so small, looks so, looks just like a toy, which it isn't. And so I know why Rollei, of course, opted to launch, a posher version of the Rollei 35, because the lens is better. Not that this is a toy lens, far from it, but this one is in a different league. This is single coated, and I believe this is multi-coated because it features Rollei's HFT coating, which I believe is multi-coating, and it has a very nice color rendition, so it's an absolute superb lens. The rest, it is absolutely the same as the Rollei 35, except, of course, this one was made in Singapore. And externally, they're all the same. Of course, the lens barrel might not be the same, but they are exactly the same in terms of design. They differ in one place where you cannot see, which is the viewfinder. This one has a 1:1 life size ratio viewfinder. This one has a slightly lower magnification, and it features parallax error marks, which are absent from the German model. This one seems, to me, a bit more contrasty and a bit sharper. But again, this camera is a bit, I would say, perhaps 10 years older than this one, or more. So it might be due to the, time. Perhaps the viewfinder is slightly foggier. I don't know. But this viewfinder, it's much nicer than this one. Perhaps much is an exaggeration, but it is nicer. Also, the type of coating is different. The color is different. Now I can hear you. Yes, so you have two models. What else have you to show me? Well, nothing really, because I only have these two, and I don't intend to buy any other Rollei. There were Rolleis, entry-level Rolleis, Rollei 35B, LED, whatever. These are simplified versions of the Rollei 35 with inferior lenses, normally triotile lenses, which I'm sorry to say I would avoid. And there are posher versions, limited editions, especially of the 35S, in gold, covered with crocodile or snake skin, whatever. So, but in terms of the basic camera, it's almost the same. Some models featured viewfinder information concerning exposure. This is not the case with these ones because they belong to the first generation of Rollei 35. Now, the second question that I know you are dying to ask me, which one do I prefer? It's a very tough question. I would like this one in black, to be honest, but this one was a surprise. I have this one for many years now, the 35S, and quite by chance I stumbled upon this one with a Tessar lens, and I really was expecting something, just a Tessar lens, but I was wrong, very, very wrong. The lens is very, very sharp. It's different from this one, but far from being ridiculous. So they are very different in terms of lens performance. It's not a question of who's sharper or who's not sharp. They are both sharp. Perhaps this one is best suited for people who like large apertures. And for color photography, this one also is different because the colors, the saturation of colors is really wonderful. So honestly, if I could have this one in black, then possibly I would buy it. I'm going to profit that I have here the 35S to show you how the meter works, because this one, the meter works, but the orange circle doesn't work that well. So exposure in a Rollei 35 is done by this way. So you have the needle in the middle of the window, and you have to match either with speeds or apertures that orange circle with the needle in order to get the correct exposure. So it's only one exposure that you have available. And this idea about the meter came to mind because if I was on the market for a camera, I would rather have a camera with a better lens and a dead meter, for instance, than a fully working camera with a lesser lens. This is my opinion. Also, do consider having a camera that is not pristine, that has some signs of wear and tear, but works great, because these cameras are mechanical and they have a good record. So don't be put off by cameras that might have a scruffy look, like this one, because they work. If they work, they are still capable of giving you years of satisfaction and great pictures. So, in my opinion, which one to get, it depends on your wallet, on your taste. Also, if you like the more recent cameras, I think are worth more, but they are not hard to find. The Rollei 35, so they made a couple of million, so they are not really hard to find. I would skip the Germany version, possibly. There's no interest for photography. There's no real difference in performance, either from the mechanics, lens, etc. At the end of the video, you shall see some pictures in black and white that I made with the Rollei 35, because I don't know where I have the files from the 35S. And I used very cheap film called Mako 400, developed here at home. So not the best reference, I know, but just to give you a taste of what the camera can do. And this little Rollei saved, it was not an important picture anyway, but I like a lot of cycling, and I always carry a camera, and I carry a very old Ricoh GR digital first generation, and I happened to take this one along with me, loaded. It was such a cold day that I saw something that I really liked, so I took the Ricoh out, and when I turned it on, well, I was in for a big surprise, because the camera did not work. It wasn't a battery, I think it has something to do with the sensor. It really doesn't like cold weather. And so I resorted to this one. I took my pictures. When I arrived home, the Ricoh had recovered, so it's okay. Now it works well, and now I know that it likes hot days, not cold days. But this is the advantage of having a mechanical camera. It's always good, because I don't live in the polar or Arctic Circle. When I mean cold, I would say that perhaps 0 Celsius degrees, about that, not more or not less. So it wasn't really very, very, very cold, but enough to put the digital Ricoh KO. Good. So this is what I had to say about the Rollei 35. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and don't forget to look at the pictures at the end of the video. Thank you very much. Hope to see you very soon in another video of mine.